Okay, Tracy, thanks for coming, and over to you.
Okay, it's really exciting to see you all here. I know that you're obviously committed to your business, otherwise you wouldn't be working with Laura, because she's amazing at what she does, and that you're thinking about your people and thinking about how can I make our workplace better for our people. So just a little bit about me. Obviously, my name is Tracy McLaughlin, and I'm the general manager in my company with my husband. It's called Davis Ogilvy Aoraki, and it's a land development and a civil infrastructure company. So we actually help property developers, councils, construction workers, urban and rural landowners with a complete range of engineering, surveying and planning services all under one roof. And what that means is that we can really maximize the potential of a project so our clients can achieve more with their land. We've had the company for 13 years, and I've been actively involved for the last 7, and we have currently 16 staff. So that's evolved over time, and it's sort of just been a bit of organic growth, really. It's no surprise that I've sort of ended up in business with a passion for employee experience design. I've come from a family of business owners. I have a passion for design. I have a design degree as well, and I sort of got myself through university with a whole range of sort of side hustles, so to speak, so that I could afford my extracurricular activities at university. I am actually a secondary school teacher as well. So I spent 10 years teaching in secondary school, and I taught in state integrated school in Timaru here in South Canterbury, which was a girls' school. I've taught in inner city state schools in England and in rural schools as well, like Roxbury area school. And that's sort of where I kind of mastered this art of, like, I don't know, just working with a whole wide range of people. Everyone's so different, and they all come from so many different backgrounds, and what makes people tick, and just that whole management piece, which I really think has been really important in transferring those skills to business. So yeah, I feel really fortunate to be able to have a business and really put our people at the heart of what we do, really. I love that I can create a profitable company, because we all want to have a bit of profit, not just doing it for a hobby, but also one where our people want to come to work and that they're empowered to do a really good job and that they can deliver awesome experiences for our clients. That really makes me, I don't know, I just really love it. But probably the through line for everything that I've done is I love making things better. I hate wasted time and energy, and I just really like making things purposeful, but also working with people to help them achieve more than they ever thought possible. And it's so exciting when you actually combine a team, or you build that united team, to see what they can do and the outcomes that they can deliver. In our company, I'm in awe of what our team do. I don't do any engineering, surveying or planning, thankfully. But the problems that they solve are huge, and the solutions they come up with are so impactful to the people that they're serving and to our community. It's really cool to see that we've created this environment where those things can happen. So that's just a little bit about me and where I've come from. And I'm here today to obviously talk to you a little bit about employee experience design. Has anyone, I mean, you could just throw your hand up in the air. Have you actually heard of employee experience design before? Anyone?
Nope.
Couple of you. Okay. So it is quite a new thing. I mean, I kind of feel like most people think about their people in terms of employee experience, but actually the design part of it is quite new. Like, hands up if you've heard about, you know, customer experience.
Yeah.
Like, that's purposefully designed. And the same with user experience. Like, you know, when people design drink bottles, mouses, computers, like they have this user experience design. So basically, Sam Gadd, who has created Excellent, or the Employee Experience Design School, has taken concepts that have been proven in customer experience and user experience. It's just called design thinking, and then applied it to how can we put that into employee experience design. Because I've always sort of gone, my instinct is always to create great things for our people. But what's been good about employee experience design is putting frameworks around it, because I was more instinctive rather than knowing exactly why I was doing what I was doing, if that makes sense. So as Lisa mentioned earlier, like our people are our business at the end of the day. They are the engine room, and we rely so much on them, as particularly like that service-based business. They are, I guess, the face of our company. For us, we have lots of people going out in the field, and they are the face of our company. It's not necessarily myself and Glenn. So, you know, by creating a great experience for our people, you'd hope that they are delivering a great experience for our clients as well. So what I thought is I'd do a little presentation. So I'm not used to speaking to lots of people, just so you know.
And doing very well.
Yes, so I thought what I'll do is I'll put this presentation together, so then it's like a prompt for me as well. But there's not many of us or huge numbers, so if you want to ask anything, at least Laura, you can just check the chat and
well, because there's not that many of us, we'll do what we always do. You're used to working with me, is take notes and write down questions so that we can have, you know, good discussions and Q&A after. But if there's anything you particularly do want to cover as we go, because there's not many of us, we can do that as well. And you can either put it in the chat, or you can just put your hand up and we'll stop and have a chat. But as always, make sure you take notes and any questions so that we can have good discussion after.
Yeah, and I really hate it when people do presentations and they just tell you all this stuff but don't really apply it and show you some examples. So I've got an example at the end. I'm just going to talk about employee experience and then what employee experience design is, and then give you a case study. But I am happy in the questions, I'll go through some of the things that I've done with employee experience, and we can dig deeper. If there's any of those things that come up that we have done that you want to explore in a bit more detail, then I'm more than happy to do it. Because at the end of the day, I just think, you know, if you can take one thing away that you might be able to apply to your business, then that's a win for you and your people. So I'll just share my screen. So can you see that one?
Yep. Yes.
Yay.
Yep, we're all nodding.
That's great. So basically, we're here to talk about employee experience design, which is actually known as EX design, just like customer experience is CX and user experience is UX. Why is that not going to the next slide? Here it is. So what is employee experience? This reminds me of my staff meetings when I was teaching. Just saying. So it is actually the employee experience is the individual experience that someone has at work. And as you know, if you went on holiday to the Gold Coast, I'm thinking of my family, everyone has a different experience. Even though you're experiencing the same thing, it can be quite different for individuals. So think customer experience, but for your people. So do your team have great relationships at work? Do they feel valued and heard? Do you have little rituals like birthdays that you might, I don't know, have a bit of a celebration with, or celebrate wins? Do you know that your onboarding sets people up quickly to do a good job? Do they have training opportunities to learn and grow? Do people know where to find templates or where the equipment is? Is the equipment even charged up before they grab it in the morning? I know that's one thing that we've had sometimes a bit of a problem with. Do your team know and live your values? Do they feel part of the team? Do you have fun catch-ups? Like all these things kind of affect the way that you experience work. So it's the way that people think, feel and act at work, basically. So have I got some nods that you know what employee experience is? Yep. Yay. So what Samantha Gadd did, who's the lady that has built this employee experience design school, because it was such a new concept, she thought, I'm going to get together 34 influential employee experience type ideators or practitioners, future thinkers, to all come together and define what employee experience for modern businesses is actually going to look like. And they did this at the end of last year, and they came together in New York. I think they had the guy down the bottom there. Can you see my mouse?
Yep.
So this guy here, he was the head of Airbnb for a long time, and he works with like Allbirds and Gap and all these big companies. Here's Sam here, and some people from Humankind, which is the company that she also owns. These people have all come together, and she tried to get a mixture of people to create an EX manifesto, which is all the principles and terms and values of what employee experience would look like. And I actually sent Laura the finished document, which was an A4. It's just
Yeah, I sent that out.
Yeah, and so if you review back to that, that will give you some definitions of what they've come up with for this. They call it the revolution at work, what it's going to look like for the future. And the bit that I just wanted to bring your attention to was this bit, the definition. So we obviously all want to create a great culture because we know that it makes our people better. And they are saying, or they came together and they decided that workplace culture is the collective experience of people at work. Employee experience is the individual. So that's what we were just talking about. And EX design is actually where you mindfully create the employee experiences. So we've got the individual experience for EX, and employee experience design is where you are actually creating on purpose these employee experiences, just like they do with customer experience. They design them on purpose so that you, that they wow and delight you. They're doing it on purpose. So if you want to find out more about that, just have a wee look back on your handout that you may have been given. So what I was thinking I'd bring your attention to would be these 4 types of employee experiences, because we know what it is, but I found this really valuable for me. It's a framework to help design the great experiences. So what they're saying is that you can have purpose experiences at work. So where experiences where employees have that sense of meaning and purpose for what they're doing, why they show up. And I've noticed with some of our younger ones in particular, them coming in to work, they're actually starting to ask these big questions. And actually, they've been Googling us. They are finding out about the leaders in companies on LinkedIn. One guy, I gave this big spiel, and then he said, oh, I already know that. I've checked out your LinkedIn profile. And I was like, oh my God, lucky I updated that thing. Thanks to Laura, funnily enough. But they're really into this whole like connection. They want to have role clarity. They want to know what your values are, and that you'll have expectations, and that there'll be this sense of achievement. So that's purpose. Then relationships, that's quite self-explanatory, just your interactions with others. We all know that a lot of people leave work mainly because they hate their managers. There's lots of other reasons, but that's a really big one. So it's your experience with the people you're working with on a day-to-day basis, your leaders. I always remember just once again when I was teaching, like there was such different range of people. It could be really frustrating with these different people, and like with just the leadership team, they'd ask us all these questions and what do we think, and then do the complete opposite. It's just so confusing. So that's all about building good relationships, enabling experiences. Do they have the equipment to do their job? So, with all this technology that's changed, have you got, our team need 2 computer screens, they need heaps of gear and equipment. It could be shared technology, systems and processes, access to information. Do they know where to get it quickly and effectively? It could be your physical environment. I know for us that everyone can hear everything in our building, and I know that is a pain for some people. So that's an enabling experience that's probably not so positive. And then the last one's performance. So how can you sort of enhance and reinforce that high performance? So like, do you have learning and development opportunities? Is there feedback? Do they get rewards or recognised? It might just be even just like we have a wins and workflow meeting on Mondays, and we just celebrate our wins on a Monday at the beginning. Even if they're big or small, we did have to add shares to that. So if we didn't have any wins, we could at least share something we did on the weekend. But you know, it's just a really nice way to share the little things that people are doing along the way. So I found this framework really awesome, like breaking down the experience into these 4 different types of experiences. So great employee experiences inspire people to perform. I actually got this out of a wee presentation that Christopher Luxon did. He came before he was in politics, but this was from when he was working at Air New Zealand, and I just resonated with me. So like a high performance engaged culture, which is what we're trying to do with all this employee experience and employee experience design, can lead to, you know, enhanced customer experience and superior commercial results, and vice versa. So it all works together. And Lisa, you were saying this before as well at the beginning about it being good for your customer and your business, better business outcomes. And I love that if you can get more money, you can actually reinvest it into the customer experience and into the culture as well. I think it's just doing business for good as well. So yeah, I found this quite a good little diagram to show how they could all 3 of them could work together. So that's employee experience, basically individual experience at work, and there's 4 different types: purpose, relationships, enablers, and performance. So what is employee experience design? So the definition that they came up with was, so let me just check their definition because that was mine, was just the mindful creation of employee experiences. And I sort of see it's where we create purposeful experiences with our people, not for them, with our people, to enable them to do a great job. And this methodology is what they use for customer experience and user experience. And now it's just one tool. There's heaps and heaps of different tools where you can use for design thinking. But this is one tool that I found worked for us. Has anyone like heard of Double Diamond? Put your hand up if you've heard of Double Diamond.
Only from you.
Oh.
In the past.
Yeah, so it's a really good one. What it means is that you're actually finding the right problem to solve, because sometimes you can go enthusiastically in the wrong direction, because I know, because I've done that. And so it's a way of finding out what really needs, what is the problem and how can we solve it. And it goes flare and focus. And flare is where you go wide and you have lots of ideas. You can think of designers and you're just going wild with all the ideas. It doesn't have to make sense. You're just coming out with all these ideas. And then you go in, and it's called focus. And that's where you're actually pulling it back together to define what the problem is based on all this discovery that you've done. And then from there, you've got this really clear problem definition, which then you can actually solve that problem really clearly. So that's when you go into the flare mode again and you start to design stuff. And it could be all sorts of things. And then you might iterate or ideate, and you go around until things get better as you're delivering them. And that's when you're focusing in on what are the solutions that are really going to work for us. So that's the Double Diamond, and it's just discover, define, design, and deliver. So finding the right problem to solve and then solving that problem the best that you can. So how can EX design help you? This is what I found at our workplace, because we obviously know it can help customer experience and better business outcomes. But for us, I've found that it's improved engagement and productivity. And as medium to small business owners, we really need this. We don't want people not to be productive and engaged. We have, when I interviewed our people, like high trust was in the top 5 for us. And I think that's a lot because of the way that we work. Time freedom. I'm still working on time freedom, but it has made it easier for our management team. Attract and retain staff. You've got really good employee experiences and you've got a cohesive way to explain what the difference is, then it's much easier to attract and retain staff, better customer experiences, better business outcomes, improved accountability and responsibility because they've designed some of the experiences themselves. We feel really proud of what the results that we get with our team. Particularly in the last couple of years, like with COVID and all the challenges that we have. I mean, I'm sure that you have all had these challenges as well. Because of the cohesiveness of the team and the way that we've structured things, the team really have your back. They really helped us out. And they take care of and look out for each other. That was also in our top 5. And they have a lot of pride in their work. So EX design, this is some of the benefits of using this sort of methodology that I have found in our company. And they feel valued, heard and appreciated because obviously you're asking them their opinions and not just telling them what to do. The best part, which I know that you all want to celebrate, like that person in the bottom there, is that you don't actually need to know all the answers. And if you're anything like me, sometimes you get decision fatigue because there's so many decisions you have to make in your business. Like, it's so nice to know that you don't have to have all the answers. And your team can actually help design the solutions. And you can really make a difference to the lives of the people because they actually want to turn up and do good work. And then they go home and they're good at home. They're nice to their families. And you don't actually have to be in HR to do employee experience design at all. I'm not an HR expert, but I do a lot of employee experience design. So there's lots of great benefits of attempting to use employee experience design in your companies. Some of the areas that we've used employee experience design is onboarding, and we've got rid of the word onboarding because actually they're just new starters. So now, because that when you're starting, we have a channel in Teams and it's called New Starters, and it's been developed. Every time we've had new people come on board, we've amended and changed it based on feedback. We've got wellbeing initiatives where the one that's worked really well is called Nudge Club, and that's just where we set a wellbeing, something to do with our wellbeing each term, and we just slightly nudge each other, like, have you done that? Like, some people it's drinking more water, some it's walking, some it's running, and it's just called Nudge Club. That's been really fun and a bit of banter with that, so that's been cool. Recruitment, we worked a lot on this because we had to work out our employee value proposition, or what actually made us different in such a tight employee market. We used employee experience design to work out what made us different. And then we even used it to create a role. One of the men in our team, he was really nervous about stepping up into being a leader. And I said, well, look, it doesn't have to look like what other people say the role has to be. What would the role look like to you? And then we used employee experience design to create this role because we knew he'd be the right person to be our leader of engineering. And he actually created this role, and then we found someone to support him with the things that he didn't love, and it's really working really well, but it's just thinking a bit differently. Done lots on this one, proving technology, tools, systems and processes, bringing in the fun. We have Friday, which was once a month, which is a barbecue, and that was designed by our team, and it's actually really not a very big expense, and it's been awesome. Giving back initiatives, what they want to give back to based on what's important to us. Our training, we've designed together invoicing and streamlining invoicing, health and safety, all our risk management, risk registers, policies and procedures. We've sort of all been doing it together, and our meetings and agendas. The last one was crazy, like the digital file structure. I don't know what your file structure is at work, but it can get out of control. And as we've evolved and grown, like we did this together using employee experience design, but it worked really well. So there are some of the areas that we've used employee experience design. So I'm just going to show you a little snippet of how you might be able to use employee experience design. And it is just a snippet. And you know, this was my first project, so you cannot judge this. It was a little bit crazy. My first attempt at using the double diamond. And to be fair, it was a bit of a challenge at times. I've got better, but I thought, you know what? The reality is you've got to start somewhere. So we're going to start with the double diamond. First thing, discovery. I had to discover what was actually wrong, so I found out the right problem to solve. So I interviewed our people one-on-one. All questions were around those 4 different types of experiences to do with purpose, relationships, enablers, and performance. And I actually had an external party come in and interview our leadership team because I was too close to them and I didn't want to hear what they'd say. So I got someone else to do that. And I did all the juniors. And with the external person, I themed our findings under each of those categories. So we themed all the things from all the interviews, and then we gathered the insights to actually see where we were going wrong. Because we'd actually been trying quite hard to be a good place to work, even before I did this. And this is just a wee snippet. People are really technology savvy now, and they do them all on the big digital whiteboards and stuff, but that was frustrating me. So I just did it on piece of paper. So I themed it up, and I was like, under purpose, one of them, for example, was values and purpose came out as a insight or a theme, I should say. And the finding was that our team lived our values, but they could not clearly articulate them along with our company purpose. And you know what, we actually developed those values with our team. So that surprised me that they couldn't articulate them. But the insight is that if we have clarity about the purpose and values in our company, then we'd be able to set them up for success. They represent our identity and a reflection of our commitment to our clients. Our values are not just words, they're our ethos, and it's how we show up. So the design challenge. So we've discovered, and then we are now defining. A design challenge is where you define it. So how might we, based on those findings, how might we embed our purpose and values into our workplace culture so they can be clearly articulated? So that's just an example of the first double diamond, where you do your discovery, and then we obviously found lots of different things that was going on, and then you define it down into what is the problem that we need to solve. So it's actually purposeful. It's what we're finding out from our people. So we found out a number of things. In this case study, I actually did one of our, to do with our tools, one of our enabling projects. So after doing that discovery, I actually wanted to give up our business, if I'm honest, because I thought we were doing a really good job, but there was lots of areas to improve. And I was like, well, where do we even start? I mean, it was really interesting doing the interviews and finding out where the pain points were for our people. But honestly, it was quite hard to come to terms with that. It felt like there was so much to do because we thought we had been doing a good job. But then I realized we were asking these questions. We were actually really digging deep when we were doing the interview questions to find out as much as possible. So as soon as I realized that, I was like, okay, well, let's just move forward. So then how did I decide what we were going to do? I couldn't do all those things. I was a step. There's no way I was going to be able to do all those things and solve all those problems. So I thought that the key is to find mutual value between what's good for your business and what's good for your people. Because we're not just here to create this most amazing environment where people want to work. We're actually here to be a company that's going to make profit as well and do a good job. So we need a bit of both. It has to be mutual. So what's the sweet spot where employee and business value meet? So one of the ones that I'm talking about in this case study was to do with our tools and technology. So we chose to focus, this is the only project that I chose out of all those at that time, to focus on technology tools and process optimization, which was all to do with enabling, because this aligned with our strategic objective. And we're all doing our strategic objectives at the moment because Laura gave you all that really amazing agenda sheet. and we're all thinking about that for the new year, for the new financial year. And one of ours was just to build well-oiled systems to support our management team, because they were getting pretty overrun and they were really tired. And so I found that they were quite a good mutual value kind of between our people and what we needed as a company. So that was us defining it, and that was our statement. So how might we fully optimize our technology and ensure the tools and processes around these are user-friendly and effective, so that our team are more engaged and connected, because that's what they wanted. So we had to get buy-in, and there was no way that they were going to remember that how might we statement. So I just put up Michael Phelps with all his gold medals and his abs, and it was mixed reviews on this, because most of our team are men, but it's okay. But it's like, we have Lisa Carrington. And I was like, I'm just going to keep up Michael. So what we did was we called it a theme, being Michael Phelps. We called it, we're just Phelpsing it. So we're streamlining it, we're making everything better. And they're like, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm Phelpsing it. So that is what I was doing, and it got buy-in. They knew why we were doing it. The design phase was really messy. It was like, what could be fixed straight away? Like, one of them was just, all they needed was to get a hard drive, because the drone data was too big for our computers. So we just had to buy a hard drive. That was a really easy fix. Another one was to do with, we just needed to buy one tiny little piece of equipment for our truck. And that really helped with the tools, or whatever the boys were doing in the truck. Like, some of them are really easy fixes. But then, because my how might we statement was way too broad, it was like, where do I start? So we just had to choose one system tool to focus on. And then we, as a team, were just looking at, well, whoever it would affect anyway, not everyone all the time, but whoever it affected the most. So for invoicing, it was really just the management team. But it was like, what was our ideal solution? What would it look like? What would it feel like? And why was it important? Asking why is really key. So we researched and asked the questions to the team. I partnered with experts with some of the technology that we were using, so we could ask them the right questions. I had to get really comfortable with an evolving solution, because it didn't actually work straight away. Like, it was, design is messy, and it was just giving things a go and seeing what works and what didn't. And I actually found the key here, because you guys will be like us, our team's busy. You can't go and ask them stuff all the time, otherwise they really are going to get quite frustrated. So I found informal conversation and observations really key, because it helped me understand why things weren't working as well as they could have. And I don't work in a separate office. I work right within our team. So even though I'm the general manager, I work with almost the junior to intermediate staff, just because then I can actually get a feel of what's working and what's not. And then we just trialed in the deliver phase. We just chose one thing and we gave it a good shot, found out what worked. We still tested, seeked feedback and iterated, and we're still improving, but it's made huge inroads on it, which was cool, especially because it was when COVID happened, and then all of a sudden we were having to use even more different technologies and work remotely. So we did a bit of it over the computer as well. So that's how the double diamond works in a bit of a case study. So now we've optimized our communication channels, we've improved our project management software and processes. We've got a team hub, all our forms and templates and QA check sheets. We have a training library using Loom with all our videos to document processes. And we've improved our invoicing and reduced write-offs quite significantly. And we've got 2 trucks now fully kitted out for use. So they're just some of the things that have kind of impacted from doing that one project. But the takeaways was that how might we statement, what I learned from that is that it could have been way narrower. That was a really big project and it went for a long time, and I should have just made it quite small. Like, it could have just been for your how might we statement, if you know of onboarding needs to be improved, and you know, because you just know it needs to be much better so people get up to scratch quicker. Like, that could, your how might we statement might just be specifically around that one area. So it doesn't have to be a massive project. was my first time doing the full design process, so it was a bit messy and crazy, and I needed to be patient. And I actually think you don't need a full design process to create great experiences. Some of the people in the big school that we are part of, they have really big companies. And you might have someone specifically in HR that's working all day on these. And as the general manager, I'm doing generally lots of other things. So I don't think you need to do a full design process to create great experiences. It could be the conversations that you have and just talking to someone and then actioning something in the delivery phase and giving it a go. So don't get freaked out by how big that is. Just start small, and my advice is to always find mutual value between what your people need and what the business needs. And some of our most successful employee experiences have been employee-led, where I've done nothing. They are the ones that have done Friday and Nudge Club and Lunch Club and all these little clubs that they start having, but they come up with the most funny things. They're a really great group. And my key messages for all of it, if you take away anything, is that employee experiences, obviously the individual employee experiences people have at the work, and there's 4 types. So the purpose, relationships, enablers, and performance, and that you can create with your people. Don't design for them, design with them, get their ideas and input. It's where you work with your people to create those purposeful experiences to enable them to do great work. And the model that helped me a bit was the double diamond one. And just start small. You don't have to do all the things. And just that the great things in business are never done by one person, they're done by a team of people. I think that is quite true for employee experience design. And there's no such thing as perfect, but you just got to give things a go. So yeah, if you have any questions, you can talk about them now, or yeah, you can always find me on LinkedIn. Not that I actually do lots on LinkedIn, but that's where you could find me. Yeah.
Very cool. Thanks, Tracy. Do you want to, yeah, that's good. Stop sharing. And that was great. Well done. Thank you for preparing that. I really appreciate it. So, yeah, we've got 12 minutes, 13 minutes to have a bit of a discussion for those who've got any questions. I think one of the things that I've been hearing, because I'm working with businesses all the time, and so I kind of get the themes, and one of them at the moment seems to be finding this balance between you know, a working environment, an employment environment where it sort of feels like the shift of the power has gone over to the employee, in the sense that, you know, it's, if you're interviewing someone, they're sort of interviewing you as to whether you're a good place to work, rather than you interviewing them as to coming to work for you. And I think that's very challenging for business owners. And so what interests me about EX design and what you're doing with it is that it's trying to find that fine balance between leaning over so far that you become, you know, you get sort of taken advantage of by employees, but also making it work for the business. So that's where I think this is coming from, this whole EX design. It's just my comment on it anyway. Anyone else got any thoughts or questions? Sorry, Tracy. Yeah.
No, it is. It's really, I mean, I'm like all of you guys, it's really frustrating at times. So I find people the most rewarding, but also the most frustrating, right? And then you actually give them a lot and you're an amazing place to work, but it's still not good enough sometimes. I actually can't do any more. But, you know, you just got to do your best. And I found by doing the employee value proposition, so that was asking questions about what makes us different and why you would work here, and those about 5 questions for all of ours, that we could find out what made us different. And so when we went out to recruit, so we have this thing that we call the success sweet spot, which is between our office size, the variety of work that we can provide, because we're in Timaru, South Canterbury, and our team culture. That means that people can achieve more with us, especially the graduates when they come through, than if they went to the big cities. And it's just how you can articulate that. And what you're doing when you do the recruitment part of it is that you're promising what you can deliver. Like I can say, this is us. And I actually have, just like with marketing, like interviewed our people, and I have their stories. I'm not just like, you can read their stories. This is what our people say. And when they come in to work for us, the reality is what we've promised. So I found that quite handy in terms of recruitment, but still, we still have to find people down in Timaru and regional town. It's a challenge. Even if you're.
Yeah. Anyone else? Questions, thoughts?
Tracy, could you tell us a bit about team rituals that you recommend or do?
Well, I've found very successful is the birthday ritual. But like when they come in, I'm like, but that means you have to buy us morning tea. It might be your birthday, but it means you've got to buy us morning tea. So they might just do.
Great.
That is one of our rituals. We have the Friday, which is once a month. And that's where we get together. And I've actually this year overlaid it with important events that are coming up. So we just did a Friday, but we brought Chinese. We have 2 Chinese people in our office, and we did it for Chinese New Year. And then we asked them all about their culture and you know, the things that remind them of home. And so we tied in like our fun thing with also something that might be important to our people. The last one we had was World Engineering Day. So we did like a structural challenge at the same time. So we're already off work having our lunch, and we just made it a bit of fun. Another one we've got coming up with the Friday is to do with Global Surveyors Day. So we've got something on for that. The meetings and agendas, like that's been a game changer. So that's a ritual, I guess, because it's something we do all the time. So we have wins and workflow on Monday for all of our team. We have a thing called, our team are movie mad, and they're a little bit geeky. Like you can think about engineers and surveyors and stuff, and they're into movies and Avengers. So we call it the Hulk Smash meeting once a month. And that's just where we smash out invoicing. So that was a pain point. And then we were like, well, how can we sort this out? So now we have Hulk Smash, and that's just where we smash out invoicing, because we're cross-functional, and so like we have about 200 jobs going at one time. We really have to work together to make sure we've got good optics over our projects, and it was a really hard problem to solve. So now we come together to and we use Microsoft Teams as well a lot with lists, so we can filter. But yeah, that was some of our rituals that we do on the Christmas, you know, normal Christmas things. Yeah.
I suppose we've got a retail store, so it's 7 days a week. So I think you know, we've got to try and get staff together, but it's always going to be after hours. So then you're encroaching on staff's own private time. So we will do a Christmas or a midwinter Christmas catch up, but then not everyone comes, you know, because that's their time. So that is really hard, I suppose, when you've got retail and then you've got staff who work at a cheese factory who don't have customers all the time, who can do it at any time, but that the other staff who are working, you kind of have to juggle it around them as well. So yeah I suppose
ask them, like I don't know, but I mean, that's what Sam would have told me to do, because I turned up and I remember saying, what do I do for onboarding? Tell me what I need to do right now. Step 1 by 2, 3, 4. That's all I want to know. And she was like, you need to go and ask what's wrong.
Yeah.
You know, so it's asking the questions, and then, you know, what would work for you? How would you do this? Like, it's just some of the questions. And then obviously not everyone can come up with in the design. So if you've got everyone everywhere, it's quite hard. You might have to choose. They often recommend not choosing like everyone from one team, like getting like some from your retail store, some from in the factory, like, you know, and getting that wide perspective.
Yeah.
So that was the hard thing I had to come up with, was that I don't need the answers, but actually the answers lie in the population that you serve, which is what they always say to us. So it's going out and finding those answers, and it's not always easy. I understand that. My sister-in-law works in a big factory, and like she's working with a really in food and technology, and you know, you're working with a wide range of people too. But the things she tells me about that company, and I think if they just asked their people in the factory what they needed, sometimes that would be a really nice idea to start with.
Yeah, yeah. I think if I asked one of my staff right now, she'd tell me that one of the other staff members has to leave.
Yeah.
And that staff member would say the same thing about that person. So yeah. But I hear what you mean. I was trying to get them all together to do like a weaving a basket or something like that, so they learn a skill as well as getting them all together as a team. But yeah, I think at the moment we're in a bit of a retrench, trying to build them and get
it takes time, right?
Yeah.
You just have to know that too. Like everything takes time, but you can make one step towards,
So what I've sort of noticed is that what you've described is it's sort of like a problem-solving culture that everyone seems to be engaged with. It's like it's defining the problem, which everyone gets to define the problem, and then everyone gets to, you know, and then because oftentimes it's knowing what, as you said earlier, it's knowing what the problem is.
Yeah.
So that then you can solve it. And if everyone gets used to that as a culture, that we solve problems together, that's, you know, it's a lot easier than constantly trying to please people.
And sometimes you got to go slow to speed up. So now, like the younger guys in particular, this younger generation, they like stuff being done quickly. They don't muck around. And they bring me these, they're like, we need to, I really need a template for this. Like they don't even, I'm like, oh, okay. Like I'm not asking for it anymore. Like they just know that I want to help and we're trying to improve our systems and different things. And I'm like, great idea. You know, like they're starting to bring you stuff rather than me having to go out and always find. Yeah, it's quite cool once it starts to once you can build that in. But everyone's so different. Every business is so different. And a lot of them are doing flexibility, like heaps of big companies. The theme was around flexibility. I found that quite hard with some of our stuff. Like our team actually have to go out in the field and they can't not be there on a particular day. Like we weren't fully office bound or anything to have the same flexibility at home. But a lot of companies were doing that. In ALF, there's so many on like working with, you know, how do you work over different time zones and like how do you make the experience work when you're working in all these different areas, because in cultures, it's just another challenge in itself.
Well, you've done a pretty good job of it, haven't you? He's been doing it for a while.
Ticking along.
Yeah.
Checking a lot, yeah. Yeah, that's good. Hey, we've run out of time, so what I'm going to do is obviously I'll finish up at the end by thanking Tracy, but I thought I'd do what everyone's familiar with, who works with me knows about the quick whiffle. So I'm just going to just check in because it's good for you, Tracy, just to hear what people, rather than everyone just disappear. So I'm just going to get just 1 minute or less, no interruptions, just go quickly say how you found the learning about experience design. So we'll start with Trish.
What I feel like saying is, yeah, lots of things. My brain's just tuning with lots of ideas about the things we already do, but also the things that we could improve. Yeah. Thanks, cool. Tracy.
Thank you. Thank you. Alf?
Thank you, Tracy. Appreciate that one. That's really cool, that presentation. Certainly some things to think about. My circumstances are quite different to most people in that I've never met my key staff. I don't even know what they look like, and they're all around the world, and everything's via remote. So it's company culture was quite hard, but we seem to be doing that really well. I've had zero churn for about 5 or 6 years with my senior crew, which is fantastic. And I do treat them with a red carpet. And kid gloves occasionally as well when things get a little bit fraught, which they can do in our business. But there were some good insights there, and I think working on differentiation within employee experience is really where the gold is. So thank you once again.
Thank you. Lisa.
Actually, my last paper for the CPA postgrad was Global Strategy and Leadership, and there was actually a big section in there about the double diamond. I just didn't connect when you were sort of talking about it, but everything about that in terms of like the strategy around obviously getting high performing teams. And I was quite pleased as you was talking through it to realize that even though I hadn't sort of put the same narrative around it, that's a lot of that have already been doing, which has obviously resulted in the fabulous secret sauce I'm experiencing at the moment. So happy to know I'm on track.
Good. That's great. Thank you. So
yeah, thank you very much, Tracy, and thanks, Laura, for organising this. I think I can now go back and have a look at the information that you sent through and read through it again, and kind of it'll make a little bit more sense. And then we'll just keep on trying to do what we can to make everyone work together as a team.
cool. Thank you. Audrey.
Thanks, Tracy. Quite a few insights there, and some affirmations. I think we're on the right track here at Spiral, and we could improve on a few things as well with those insights. Thank you for today.
Cool. Thank you. Thank you, Tracy. That was really, really cool. It's good to get an understanding, and I sort of like the whole concept of it being a problem-solving culture, and I can see how that plays out. So I'll certainly sort of be using some of this when I'm trying to help people, which is kind of what I do. What do you feel like saying?
No, I was just really grateful to be asked along and to share it, because it really does make a big difference. And when you talk about problem solving, Laura, it's probably lucky that we're engineers and surveyors, because all they do is solve problems. Like, they're expert problem solvers. So maybe that makes my life a little bit easier sometimes. But even for you, Sue, just start one thing, and it might just be asking some questions, and yeah, that neutral value is really key. I don't want our people to be stomping all over us and feel like they've always got the upper hand or anything. Like, it has to have mutual value between what you're doing. Can't do everything. So if you can overlay it with your strategy, and like I said, strategic stuff's coming up, then you're winning. But you're already winning. You came here. Commit to
always winning. This group.
I really have to go. Sorry.
Yeah, I'm just going to wrap up now. So thanks, Tracy. Thanks, everybody. And we'll be, or as always, we'll be in touch. But thanks very much, Tracy. Much appreciated.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay.
See you guys.
Bye.
Cheers.
Bye.